Welcome to day 183. We're in Proverbs 25 through 29, and we are halfway through the Bible. Halfway. So we talked a little bit about it yesterday. This is July 1st, if you're doing this day by day. And what a great thing to think about that we've done these videos, and we're going to continue to do this for another half a year throughout the rest of these. And hopefully you're getting something that is important, an underlying message of redemption through all these things. And today is really about the empire versus the rebels, or in the Mockingjay, the Hunger Games, you have the capital, which is the empire. And all the rioting that's going on in the world today, all the insanity that is out there, and up is down is up. So that is really what these proverbs are about, justice versus injustice. And I have a lot of points that I brought from this that I want to talk about. Extremely important stuff. I could just say a couple things and be done, but I want to point out some of the things that I thought were very important and had a lot to do with stuff today. So I have a couple things that are off topic that I'll point out, but other than that, let's get at it. Okay, so day 183, removing wickedness. Chapter 25, verse 5. So it says, remove the wicked from the king's court, and his reign will be made secure by justice. So who's supposed to remove the wickedness? Isn't that what the king's supposed to do? And that's the main point about all of this. We, the people, are supposed to get off our butts, stop sitting on our hands and actually do something. And that may sound a little strange to you because, nobody wants to do anything. We want to sit in our nice, easy, comfy chairs and let the empire just do whatever they want. So that is the underlying message today. Get off your butt and do something. Now, off topic, real quickly, I wanted to do it before I forgot. Verse 24 of chapter 25 is about marriage. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Okay, so we have a list about one man, one woman marriage, different types of sexual things like homosexuality stuff. And on my list, I put that under marriage of one man, one woman. So advice about those things. So I'm going to start adding advice in the Bible for that. And also I have chapter 27, 15 through 16. It says, 27, 15 and 16. A quarrelsome wife, is as annoying as a constant dripping on a rainy day. Stopping her complaints is like trying to stop the wind or trying to hold something with greased hands. So don't marry a quarrelsome wife. All right. And that's a whole nother topic. All right. We're not supposed to give in. All right. 26. Chapter 25, verse 26. If the godly give in to the wicked, and this is important, it says, if the godly people, the gray area people who can't make a decision, or lukewarm people that are, in the end, that'll be spit out. But godly people, we're talking about you and I. If godly people give in to the wicked, it's like polluting a fountain or muddying a spring. We're sitting on our hands. We cannot give in. We must say what is right, not in anger. And I'm going to talk about all of that. That is, all the advice is in here about how we are to not give in and how we are to fight. All right. I want to talk about foolishness. Remember, we talked about foolishness being moronic. If you're a fool, you're a moron. That's biblical. And here's a good thing. If you read in chapter 26, verses 4 and 5, you probably were like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. So I have an example for you. Here's what it says. Don't answer the foolish arguments of fools. In verse 5, I'll finish that in a second. Verse 5 it says, be sure to answer the foolish arguments of fools. And I'm sure if you're just reading to read through this, you're wasting your time. You are to read the Bible intently. This is the Word of God. Take it with some weight and say, this is important. I need to know what this means. All right, so let's start this over. Don't answer the foolish arguments of fools, or you will become as foolish as they are. Be sure to answer the foolish arguments of fools, or they will become wise in their own estimation. So here's an example of what this is talking about. And this has been around for a short time, depending on if you're looking at history, very, very short time. Water is wet. Okay? So if you have a fool in front of you and they look at you and say, water is wet, don't answer, don't engage in that conversation. But if they ask you, do you think water is wet? You make sure you do answer them. Because if they're sitting there saying water is wet, why do you need to make them look like a fool by answering them? They already are a fool and everybody knows it. Don't even bother talking to them. But if they engage you and say, hey, do you think water is wet? You better make sure you answer them. And also, in I think it's 2 Peter 15, I can't remember the exact verse, it says, be sure to have an answer for what it is you believe. Be sure you can give an account of why it is you believe what you believe. Okay? And this is the same type of thing. Make sure you answer fools if they ask you. Or otherwise, they just look like they're smart. So if people are coming around and saying idiotic things and they're trying to engage you, and you may not even have an answer for something, and if you don't engage, they look really smart. I've seen it, and maybe you have too. You have to engage. Otherwise, rioting occurs eventually. And you become the enemy, not the godly person. So, laziness is an example of good people doing nothing. In chapter 26, verse 14, as a door swings back and forth on its hinges, so the lazy person turns over in bed. The point of that is get off your butt, okay, and do something. If you're going to sit in bed, you are not productive. What are you here for? And the underlying theme here is we have to do something. Stop being lazy. You must do something, and you are doing something. You're doing this. What sets us apart? We must help each other. We need to, and there's a key word in this. 27:10. Never is the key word. It says never. Anytime you see the word never or always, those types of words, you need to underline it. You need to circle it. You need to put an asterisk beside it. Something. Take note. It says never abandon a friend. Either yours, and here's the other part, or your father's friends. I would say your father's friends are more important than your friends. Your father's friends have more wisdom than your friends. When disaster strikes, you won't have to ask your brother for assistance. It's better to go to a neighbor than a brother who lives far away. Okay? Obviously, and now we talk about, we need to prepare. Okay? We know that there's a problem. We need to prepare. We're going to continue talking about the problem. 27:12 says, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. Doesn't mean the danger is going to happen necessarily, but a fool doesn't prepare. Okay, a prudent person prepares. A simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. We can continue to sit in our luxurious homes, in our cars, and our wonderful chairs, and hang out and have toys and fun, but we also are to be knowledgeable and understand what's going on in the world, and also fight back and prepare when injustice is occurring. So let's talk about heart and desire versus death and destruction. Heart and desire versus death and destruction. Chapter 27, verses 19 through 20. As a face is reflected in water, so the heart reflects the person. All you have to do is spend a little time with somebody and you'll know their heart. They can say all the wonderful things they want, but eventually you see their heart. Okay? So you talk about Black Lives Matter or hashtag Save the Girls or whatever. That all sounds great. But the underlying, once you find the heart of what's going on, you start to see something isn't exactly what it seems to be. Okay, so we need to prepare. We need to start to be knowledgeable about these things. And if you are not knowledgeable about those things that I'm talking about, then you're not doing enough. And I'm telling you, this is what you are to be doing. You are to study. You are to read and be aware of what these things are, not just listen to social media or whatever media outlet is going to happen in the future, whatever's coming. You need to find out the heart and the desire of something. And then death and destruction, the verse 20, just as death and destruction, these are capitalized, these are beings, just as death and destruction are never satisfied, so human desire is never satisfied. So your heart and your desire, if it's evil, will never be satisfied. That's why they're foolish and moronic. They have to be answered, and we must fight back because they will never stop. Okay? It is never satisfied. This is never going to stop unless we do something. We don't want to do something. We don't want to fight that. But we must fight it. And we must be knowledgeable, and we must answer the foolish arguments that are out there. This is a great lesson today. We must prepare our children. Otherwise, this crap is going to continue to happen. 27, 23, and 24. Know the state of your flocks, and put your heart into caring for your herds, for riches don't last forever, and the crown might not be passed to the next generation. Duh. If we don't prepare our children, then what we work so hard for isn't going to be passed to them. Isn't going to be passed to them. Excuse me. All right. So, and then we start to get into the moral rot of people. That chapter 28, verse 2. When there is moral rot within a nation, I just love it. I wanted to say it. When there is moral rot within a nation, its government topples easily. Man, there is a moral rot going on in our country, and it's been happening for a while, and it's beginning to have some momentum here. But wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. Every time we have strong, knowledgeable, wise leaders, wicked tends to run away, and things start to get better. And here, that's a perfect example of all the kings we've been talking about. Anytime there was a good king, the land was blessed. Anytime there was a bad king, it was not, and people turned their hearts away from God. Notice I'm not talking about different religions. It's God or nothing. Okay. We have to fight. Chapter 28, verse 4. To reject the law is to praise the wicked. To reject the law. We're not rejecting the law, but some people are rejecting the law. Look at the rioting that's happening. The moral rot that there is in the rioting. They are rejecting the law and the police. That's praising the wicked. To obey the law is to fight them. We must obey the law. That's one way we fight back, is always obey the law. Try not to take the law in your own hands and go and shoot them or something. That's horrible. That's against the law. Obey the law. That's one point of fighting back. All right. Evil people don't understand or listen. We always talk about understanding and listening. Throughout the whole Bible, it's about wise people understand and listen. Listen and understand. Have an ear to hear. Okay? So, 28 verse 5, it says, evil people don't understand justice, but those who follow the Lord understand completely. I mean, it's so obvious we are set apart. Doesn't mean we are righteous people. We are set apart, and this is a perfect example of what's going on in the world. Evil people don't understand. They are foolish people, and they're being led astray. Part of it is having wild friends. Chapter 28, verse 7. Young people who obey the law are wise. That's the important part, that they obey the law. Those with wild friends bring shame to their parents. Meaning, wild friends pull our friends away. Wild friends pull our children away from obeying the law. We need to watch what friends our children have. Wicked take charge and people hide. All right, so here we go. We're heading down the stretch here. 28:12. When the godly succeed, everyone is glad. When the wicked take charge, people go into hiding. All right, so when godly succeed, everyone is glad. And this is the same thing with the kings we've been talking about. When the wicked take charge, people go into hiding. And then I have verse 28. It says the same thing. When the wicked take charge, people go into hiding. And then it says this. When the wicked meet disaster, the godly flourish. What an awesome thing. And then this one, 29:2, it says, when the godly are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked are in power, they groan. This common theme that we have got to put people into office and positions of authority who are godly people, not just good people. They have to have the right heart and desire. They have to be godly people. They have to be the people set apart, not just somebody who says, hey, they put some fancy thing in front of it like Black Lives Matter. The leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement are Marxists. They don't care about black lives. That's not what it, the black people that are involved, they care. But the leaders, their heart and their desire has nothing to do with that race. Okay? So we must take our time, make sure we know these people. This is what this is talking about. And we're wondering why the world is going the way it is. Because we are sitting on our hands and we must fight back. We obey the law and we must engage in these conversations. We must be knowledgeable. 29 verse 8, a couple more to go here. Mockers can get a whole town agitated, but the wise will calm anger. There you go. If you want the town to be rioting, then the mockers get everybody agitated. That's how it's done, and that's the playbook. And God said it way back when. Wise people will calm the anger, not by shouting. That's not what it is. Okay, so 29:11. Fools vent their anger, but the wise quietly hold it back. We must be knowledgeable. We must answer it. We must obey the law. Fools will just say whatever they want. Let them be fools. But if they ask you, you must engage. You must be prepared. And then words aren't heeded. And here's the key. All right. 29:19. Words alone will not discipline a servant. The words may be understood, but they are not heeded. If there's no teeth behind what we say, then it doesn't matter. All the wisdom in the world is not going to help a fool. It's not going to happen. And hopefully that you got that. There's more hope, but I could keep going. So here's what you should be getting out of this. We must remove wicked. We must be knowledgeable, and we must prepare. We must prepare our children. There must be discipline with teeth. We must obey the law. We must engage when asked. Let foolish people be foolish, but when asked, we must be knowledgeable enough to say what is right. And we must vote good people into office. We all must do that sort of thing, whether we want to or not, or we're going to lose this. That's day 183. Wait for tomorrow.